When you think about the future, what impact do you hope to leave? Whether it's through your music, your voice, your journey.
Purpose, I would say, to heal people with my words and my music. So just being able to, touch people's heart and allow them to go through life better. I want my music to feel like a warm tea, like a warm kind of cup of tea. I would say all of my decisions right now are linked to that purpose specifically. So it's like working on myself because I feel like the more you are aligned with yourself, the more you can pour out to others. So that's kind of yeah, point of everything.
Healing others, sharing your talent. When you say it felt like a cup of warm tea with honey and a little cinnamon on.
You see, that's the
What if you were a drink, what would you be?
that's it. Hot.
A hot tea, which one?
Cinnamon, definitely cinnamon, hibiscus tea.
Ooh, yes.
Because it has so much healing properties.
Do you prefer Decep or ginger?
But you just sometimes just wake yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, every single like, comment, repost, and follow gives us more strength to have more inspiring guests. So don't hesitate to comment below and tell us who you'd like to see in the next video. Follow, and we'll see you in the next one. So who are you? How would you describe yourself? What's like a childhood memory that sums up who you grew up as?
Intense. Like from what my mom used to say, I was full of energy. Which is why I think she got me involved in so many different sports when I was young, 'cause she wanted to, you know, put that energy somewhere. And I was find myself as lively. I'll be sociable. I love to, get to know people and discover things, different type of arts, and seeing people from different backgrounds. Yeah, pretty much.
Where is your cultural heritage from? And how did you grow up in your house, basically? You grew up in France, right?
Yeah. So I'm 100% Ivorian from my dad's side and my mom's side. I feel like my mom really got us involved with the traditions. She really passed down all of the things that she just learned from, living in a village, or whether it's the language or the culture, the food. It's really good. She really taught us those African values of humanity, I would say resilience and ambition to always go above and beyond what you can do.
Yeah, so between Ivoirian and French, and how come you speak English?
So I was born in France. So I've been living in France until I was 16. But I've always wanted to discover more of the world. I feel like it's partly because my mom got us going through like English lessons when we were younger. We've always been used to learning multiple languages at school and outside of school. And so when I really started to get interested into like moving to like English speaking country. I wanted to go to the US first, but I ended in the UK, which is not bad.
Not bad.
And so that's why I speak English, because I've been studying in the UK for 4 years and then was back and forth with France and London.
Ooh, okay. So London and Paris, those are huge cities to be growing up in. So first, a question that probably everybody asked you when you came back from London or where you went to, which one do you prefer between France and the UK, or what was the difference?
I have a preference in London for the drive to, really going for what they want to chase their dreams. They kind of are influenced by the American culture, this way of, really having ambition and fighting to get the life that you want. Whereas in France, I feel like we're more into this kind of family mindset where we work, but we also want to enjoy and leisure. So I feel like when you need that drive and that push to, hustle, London is the right place to be. But then when it comes to family life, when you're in a good area, of course, France is good if you want to have those talents and value, I would say, life in general, just resting and just enjoy times.
That's true. There's a difference for sure between any maybe English speaking versus French speaking country. I felt that, well, growing up in France and then going to study in the US and going back and forth to visit family, there's that drive that you talk about, that also maybe open-mindedness towards what's possible for young people, for opportunities for artists in different ways. Like, did you feel that in the UK?
It does. I feel like in the UK you have way more diversity. and more, I would say, opportunities when it comes to high positions for people from like, African backgrounds, Asian backgrounds. Whereas in France, I feel like you have diversity at some level, but when it gets to the top, then you would see more of one community there, which is the way it works. But then when you go to London, you could see, I don't know, you could see a mayor that's Indian, you could see a sociology teacher that's like Ghanaian, you could everyone is kind of involved in all ways in society. It's not just one area for one group of people. And I love that because then as a kid, you should grow up in those types of cities to can actually see yourself achieving those positions because you have an example of someone that's achieved it before, which was the case for me. I've seen so many successful West African people in London, which kind of influenced me to do better because I'm like, okay, if they can do it, then I can do it too. And they're valued for their work. Sometimes we don't even consider the color of their skin, they just value for what they do. And I love that you can just be valued for what you do rather than what you look like or if you fit in. But France is it no? It's changing.
It's changing.
It's getting better. France is better than before.
And so, what was the biggest shock for you coming at 16 is like formative years, right? And high school, I feel like can be tough. What was the biggest shock when you first arrived in the UK and first mingled with British?
The accent.
Okay, thank you.
Well, like, okay, when I was in France, I was known to be the best at English. So, you know, when I came to the UK, I thought I had it. You know, I was really confident. I was like, oh God, it's gonna be easy for me. Like, I know how to speak English. I'm good, you know. And when I stepped in that English class, I couldn't understand what word because we were actually studying Shakespeare, which is like old English. But yeah, the accent was a big shock for me. Especially as I told you, I'm really sociable. When I was in France, I used to have this big group of friends, always like laughing, having fun. All of a sudden, I lose my personality because I can't speak. I don't know how to speak English, so I couldn't communicate. I was just quiet, and it was different for me to be quiet because I was known to be the one that spoke the most.
Well, that's hard. No, being and just speaking multiple languages, let alone having an accent to adjust to, is extra hard when you're formulating sentences, trying to understand what's going on, the gist, the banter,
Yeah.
and then by the time you formulate your sentence, the joke has moved on. People aren't there anymore. So how did you adjust? When did you feel like, okay, I got it?
I feel like people were really patient with me because they could see that I couldn't speak English properly and they were actually taking the time like and wait for me to finish my sentence and correct me when I was wrong. So I'm really grateful for the people that were around me that time because they really gave me the time to, you know, be a learner. Whereas I feel like when you're learning a new language and you find you have somebody that has no patience, it's really hard for you to keep up and to you know to grow because making mistakes will help you. And yeah, so I feel like just having this space and working on myself also on the new words I didn't know about to help me a lot.
It helps. On the identity of being a Black girl, Ivoirian, knowing your roots and being brought up in a house where your mom really poured into you about traditions and also the food and the culture. How was it in France being a Black girl versus in the UK?
I feel like France because of you know we have the laïcité, which is a thing that kind of keeps us all uniform. You know, you express your traditions at home. You get to express them outside, but not as much. Whereas in the UK, you're free to express your traditions outside of home. So I feel like I could be more expressive about my roots and where I came from. And that was not just a case of my community. Like you'd see Indian wearing their, you know, head wraps and other people from different, you know, cultures being able to express it. And so I would say it was easier for me to express myself. I felt more understood by others because when everyone expresses themselves, then everyone is curious about each other. But when you ask people to kind of keep it to their house and after school or whatever, then you don't really get to understand the person fully. So yeah.
You feel like you got to go a little bit deeper into who people were.
I felt more understood and I felt like I could understand more the person in me. I've found out so much about different cultures when I was in the UK, whereas in France, there was only French people around me, like we were all French.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the UK, you have people from all these different countries and you actually get to know their culture seriously because they express it on a daily basis. And then I really got to learn about like, Eastern European culture, Asian culture, South American culture, like on a deep level. And that was really great.
I love that. So that was a big difference, I guess, in how people show up. And you talked about, growing up and being able to express yourself, whatever faith you're from. How did you live that growing up? So I think you grew up between multiple religions.
Yeah.
How was that?
So I grew up in like a Christian/Muslim household because my mom is so my dad has Christian side, and I felt like this was really a good thing in the sense that it really gives you this open mind when it comes to other people, and then you can put yourself in everyone's shoes. You don't really choose a side of the debate; you just accept people as they are. And I feel like from a young person to have this kind of balance of two religions, then you must be open because they're kind of different, although there are similarities. And so I thought it was really something that made me more understanding of other people and more accepting of differences. Like someone could come with anything really, and I was accepted because I find this to be beautiful.
It gave you open-mindedness, and
Yeah.
so also because Ramadan and the Christian Lent and Carême are coming up. So
Yeah.
how do you show up in those different times where both faiths or multiple faiths are kind of like
Virgin.
merge? Yeah.
I feel like the core of it is kind of the same. It's kind of like this togetherness, community, being aligned with the spirit of God, and just listening to your body, listening to your soul, listening to your spiritual needs. I feel like this is something that very Christianity and Islam. So it's just a time to be around the people that matter the most to you. So whether it's on the Muslim side or Christian side, as long as I'm around my family and I can feel the spirit of God in the middle of everything, I'm good with it. And everyone's free to express their faith in the way they want to express it. As long as they find balance and alignment in their life, that's it.
That's good. And good food, I think. It's
Good food.
family food and God. First
Yeah.
baby God. I kind of mixed up my words. So that's great. We'll move on to a quick fire portion of the interview. Favorite artist right now.
Audio.
Okay, Nigerian artist.
Nigerian artists.
Last movie or show that you watched.
F1.
Oh,
But I watched it in the plane.
okay.
Yeah.
With
Damson Idris.
Samson Idris.
Yeah.
Yes. Was it good?
It was good. I mean, yeah, it was right. Like it was good, but I'm more into fantastic films. So it was a bit of like a different genre that I usually like look at.
Favorite genre? What were your favorite movie ever?
I just love Disney movies. I'm just like a kid, yeah, because they sing in the movies and stuff like that.
Favorite Disney princess?
I would say
Rapunzel. That used to be mine. So for me it was Mulan, Rapunzel, and then Tiana.
yeah, Tiana. Yeah, we got to mention her too.
Yeah, she came later, but I feel like
Cinderella too.
I listened to I preferred Ariel.
Oh yeah,
And the OG actually. Cinderella was good. It's just that they just redid her story so many times.
Yeah, those too many versions.
And the last place you visited, the last country.
Oh, St. Martin.
St. Martin? Yeah, that's more.
It was great. Like talking about like community and people, I really felt at home there. People were so like human and welcoming and helpful and warm. It was I wasn't used to this, and I mean going there really healed something in me in the sense that you get to see what like the kind person is, and when you're not used to this when you're in the rush of Paris, you kind of forget to have those like human encounters and getting to know people. But I really got back to that when I was in Samaritan. That was lovely.
Yeah. Had you always wanted to visit? How did you learn about Samaritan?
I've been wanting to go because my auntie lives there, and I've been wanting to go for 10 years. Actually. I've thought of going a long time ago, and then this was a time for me. You know what? I'm not going to spend my birthday in this winter. I don't want to be cold. Let me go.
Yeah.
But the sun is.
Right. And the flight wasn't too long.
8 hours.
I feel like it's so good to put a spotlight on the islands too. There's a few that, are filled with culture and great people, great food, great history too. Did you learn anything about St. Martin?
Well, I have a French side and a Dutch side, which is well rooted in history, but it's interesting to see how they kind of interact with each other. I don't know. It's just the languages for me that are the difference. Like a few other things, but the whole island, everyone kind of knows each other and everyone just speaks with each other constantly, you know, in peace.
In peace.
And that's great.
Different cultures, heritage.
Yeah. I mean, they have different ways of working on even like you don't find the same infrastructure in both sides. But in general, I feel like it's really peaceful and everyone kind of gets along.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's good. Okay. Okay, last quick fire question. Next country you want to visit?
I want to go Brazil.
Brazil?
Brazil?
Yes.
It's been on my list
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yes.
I need to make this happen in
2026 is happening.
2026 Brazil
We're
was
putting
me.
it up. I heard so many good things about Brazil, especially for like people of color, women. Like apparently it's really a good.
They really have this confidence of like, you know, having their natural hair, just embracing who they are.
Yeah.
Not just saying, okay, I'm proud, I'm black and I'm proud. No, but even like just in the way they dress, in the way they take care of like their skin, their hair and everything. They really embracing that identity. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that about myself.
I love that about Brazil. Shout out Brazil. Any Brazilians watching. So into the next segment, that's gonna intermingle kind of identity and also your artistry. As you said, so owning who you are, black and I'm proud, and also finding your path, right? So once you've grown up with the Ivorian heritage, but also in France and then studied in the UK, then comes the time that you graduate and you figure out what you're supposed to be bringing to the world. How is it for you? How did you get to music and also modeling?
Well, I feel like back when I was in France, like if we're talking about African heritage, usually the values that you get is that you need to study and, you know, have a job that looks good on paper. Well, this was something that was brought up to me a little bit because my mom is an entrepreneur, my dad is an entrepreneur, so I got this mindset from other people, but me and my household, it was more like entrepreneurship. But being in France with my peers, I kind of got myself more into the mindset of do what looks good on paper. And I feel like what kind of brought me to do music was when I moved to the UK and I saw how much they valued us, you know. It wasn't just like a side thing that you or a club. It was actually you can make it a habit, you can make it a career. And I was so surprised to see all the different like jobs they were offering and stuff. And so that's why I was like, okay, so I can actually do this seriously and stuff. And yeah, which when I came back to France, I started working and everything, but I still got it back in my mind to know that if I wanted, I could be a musician full time in the UK. Like this is something that's always been there, and now I'm getting more and more into that.
Okay, I love that. Finding yourself and also not putting barriers on yourself. Like,
Yeah.
'cause it didn't come from your family necessarily, because like you said, like both of your parents went and pursued their own businesses and were entrepreneurs. But there's just some things that you either learn or tell yourself that try to limit you,
Yeah.
and so you had to break free from that.
I did kind of because sometimes I think to myself, maybe I would prefer to have someone showing me the way and telling me, okay, do this or like
So
you have to do this. And I feel like it's beauty in finding your own way as a child because then you have nobody telling you what to do. And then you get to do what you really want to do. There's no, for me, there was no barrier. Like, I didn't have a parent to say no. So I could do whatever I wanted, which also means that anything that you choose to do, it's between you and yourself. And the consequences, you chose to do that. And so I feel like right now, why we have to battle is, you know, the confidence to go somewhere that is kind of a risk to take and taking a risk of maybe failure or not. It's being what I want, you know. And so yeah, it's why that.
That's really, really good. And also maybe not something that we hear a lot with the way that we portray African households, African parents. It's really like strict and you have to be a doctor or a lawyer, or you have to do this in that order. So living in a household where you felt fear.
I never felt like I was there.
Okay.
But yeah, it was I did feel like I had to grow fast because I was asking myself the questions and expecting to get answers from myself too. And so it was kind of that thing. So you just, you're finding out life by yourself in a sense. But I'm also grateful that my mom was there to also be there, to when I wanted to do sports. Like, hey, there's a sport, and then when I wanted to do music, she'll come with me to the competitions and stuff. So it's like, do whatever you want, girl, but just support, When I said I want to go on this, like, yeah, you go. Just make sure that you're fun with it. And but at some point you actually have to take a serious direction and stick to it.
Because discipline runs out. Like, how do you keep up now? The motivation, the drive, how do you find opportunities? Decide, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Where does that come from?
Well, your mom helped me, and I told her she helped me last time.
Shout out Ness Consulting and
We had
Be Passion.
the discussion to like I think you said like people please not people. What did you say? People pleasers are never pleased. When you're on your own path, then you try to find validations from others a lot, and then you want to do things that make you look nice to the eyes of others and those kind of stuff. And I really had to learn to do the things that would make me look bad in the eyes of others and still stick to them because they make me feel good. I'm no longer choosing to do something because people validate it, but I'm doing it because I like it. And I remember I used to be really, really like close-minded in my musical sphere because I was like, oh my God, this music is not something that matches with my aesthetic and all this kind of stuff. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to what I love. I'm gonna create what I love, and I'm gonna take actions for my dreams. I'm gonna do what makes me feel good. And so now I'm just, getting into that direction of really doing the things that I want to do, and always reminding myself like, you're living now, but live as if no one was around. Are your decision based on the people around you, or based on what you truly want to do? Like, if there was no one around me, no family, no friend, no social media, no friends, no nothing, it was just me on this earth, would I be taking that decision? And it's something that I always tell myself, to really make sure that everything I do is because I want to do it, not like something that other people get me to do in a sense.
That's big. Like, asking yourself those questions is important of what do you want to do outside of the way that we've been socialized, because we are social beings and we thrive on one another depending on how introverted or extroverted you are, but still like we like to get sometimes people's validation. And so there's a balance to find between being filled by others and maybe them feeding off of you, or like feeding off of them too much. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you find that balance? Are you extrovert?
Yeah. I just, just love people. I just love fun.
So then how as an extrovert, as a person who likes to be with people, who likes to make connections, how do you then disassociate and find who you truly are?
I think just finding time with myself, with my soul, with my spirit. And I try to balance out not going out and seeing people. So there's a time when I'm seeing people, there's a time when it's loud, but at some point, sorry, you have to cut this time and then silence, no words, no noise, and really listen to my body, to my soul. Okay, what do I need right now? How do I feel right now? Do I really want to do this? And this is not something I can do when you're surrounded. So I feel like I'm just finding balance. I used to really be always out, always with people. Like anytime we take a decision, I would ask for advice and everything. Or should I do this? Should I do that? Should I wear this? Should I wear that? Should I buy this, buy that? And now I'm like, you know what? You choose. And if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. But at least it would have been your choice. So yeah, that's why I want to try to quiet the noises and then just listen to myself.
Yeah,
when I can.
that is really, really good. Making choices independently more and more, like on small things, right?
Yeah.
Can you say more about your path as an artist? 'Cause like on top of finding yourself as a person, then finding your voice as an artist, what were like 3 big milestones in finding your voice?
Well, it all started when I was really, really young, and I always felt really connected to music. Like some songs would just make me feel some type of way, and I would find purpose in music. I would find peace in music. That was a way of me to express my feelings. Like as a kid, when you have big, big emotions, sometimes you don't really know how to channel them out. But music was for me a healing process for me to really like release my emotions. So that was the peak part. And then the second milestone will be when I saw the reaction of my music, like when I saw people sometimes getting emotional or really people thanking me for singing. I was like, I just used God's gift and you're gonna cry. Like I was, but I was like, okay, so music can heal. Music can heal. And that was my second biggest like realization. Music can heal. And if music can heal, I want my words to be healing. And I want to heal people through music. If I love people, then why not do that? And so my third milestone is now implementing this to me and putting myself out there, and actually reaching out to people to kind of spread this message that I have in music. And yeah, because that's kind of
So, thank you so much for your time, for being here, for
thank
inspiring
you.
us, for being for being real and raw. We can't wait to see more of you. Where can we keep it?
Instagram. I'm gonna link it below.
Don't forget to like, subscribe,
and follow. Yeah, but hopefully you see me more on stage.
Mhm.
That's the point. But yeah, more on Instagram as well. And you keep doing your thing because it's really good.
Thank
I'm
you.
really proud of your concept and everything.
Thank you.
Happy that you chose me as a. Yeah, the questions are really good. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. 3 words to the camera.
Love, faith, and unity.
Faith and serenity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being.
Thank you.
Thank you to the whole team. We want to thank Createo, Redzi, our team, Productions, and Fully Fashion,
Thank
as
you.
well as Manchester Consulting.
Thank you, Seynedhee. Like, come host. Come on.
Woo! Just close like that. See you the next one. Forget to thank you, Ness. Thank you. Every single like, comment, repost, and follow gives us more strength to have more inspiring guests. So don't hesitate to comment below and tell us who you'd like to see in the next video. Follow, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Seynedhee Spotlight.